Have you ever stared out an airplane window and seen absolutely nothing but a wall of white? No ground, no runway, no clues, just fog, cloud, emptiness. And yet, somehow, the airplane still lands perfectly. On the runway. Right on target. Smooth. How? How can pilots land without even seeing where they're going? Today, we're diving into one of aviation's greatest hidden skills. Landing completely blind. Buckle up. Because once you know what's really happening behind the scenes, you'll never look at flying the same way again. First, let's get something straight. Landing blind isn't luck, it's not magic. And no, pilots don't have Superman vision. They rely on an amazing combination of instruments, technology, and precision training, all working together to guide the aircraft safely to the ground. When weather turns bad, when visibility drops below safe limits, aircraft follow a system called an Instrument Landing System, or ILS. Think of ILS like an invisible highway in the sky, a system of radio beams planted at the airport. Sends out two critical signals. One tells the plane if it's left or right of the runway. That's called the localizer. The other tells if it's too high or too low. That's the glide slope. By locking onto those two invisible beams, the airplane can track itself perfectly all the way down to the ground, even if the pilots can't see a thing out the window. Inside the cockpit, pilots use precise instruments to stay centered on those beams. A few inches left, a few inches right. They see it instantly. Tiny corrections. Constant focus. Not all blind landings are created equal, though. There are different categories of precision landings, based on how bad the visibility is. Cat 1, the most basic. Pilots must see the runway at about 200 feet above the ground to continue landing. Cat 2, a little worse, down to around 100 feet. Cat 3, the most intense. In some cases, pilots can land with almost zero visual contact. Today's big jets, like the Boeing 777, Airbus A350, are built to handle full Cat 3 Autoland landings with astonishing precision. Imagine this. A Boeing 787 approaches Heathrow Airport. Outside the windows, pure white fog. The runway lights are invisible. The pilots can't even see their own wingtips. Yet inside the cockpit, it's calm. The autopilot follows the ILS beams with microscopic adjustments. At 50 feet above the ground, still no runway in sight. The pilots trust the system. And then, touchdown. Perfect. This is modern aviation mastery. But it's not always so easy. Even a perfect ILS system can be compromised. You see, the radio beams that guide the plane are incredibly sensitive. If another plane, a vehicle, or even a big metal object gets too close to the antennas, the signal can bend or scatter. This area around the antennas is called the ILS critical area. That's why, in foggy weather, ground control will often order planes and vehicles to hold short, well back from the runway, to avoid interfering with the ILS signals. If the critical area gets compromised, the invisible beams could lie to the plane, showing it centered when it's actually drifting sideways. And at 150 miles per hour, on final approach, there's no room for mistakes. Pilots are trained for this. Before every approach, they check that the airport is operating correctly. Is the ILS active and protected? Are braking conditions acceptable? Is the crosswind within safe limits? If something seems off, pilots have a simple rule. Go around. Better to circle and try again than to risk a bad landing. The next time you fly in bad weather, and you can't see anything but fog outside your window, remember this. Your pilots are locked onto a set of invisible guides. They're tracking every movement. They're ready for any surprises. They're trained to trust their instruments and to act instantly if anything goes wrong. Flying blind isn't flying recklessly. It's flying by science, by engineering, by precision teamwork. And no, it's not always autopilot doing all the work. In most cases, the pilots are still in command. They monitor every second. They're ready to disconnect the autopilot and take over manually if needed. They make the final decision to land or go around. Some Cat 3 landings are fully automatic, yes, but the pilots are never just sitting back. Their focus is razor sharp, even if the plane is flying itself moment to moment. Landing blind requires trust. Trust in the instruments, trust in the technology, trust in the rigorous training that every airline pilot goes through. It's a partnership between human and machine. When visibility drops to zero, it's not hope that gets you down safely. It's discipline. It's systems. It's aviation at its absolute finest. So the next time you feel a bump of turbulence, or see the world disappear into fog, don't worry. There's a system at work. Pilots know it inside and out. And it's all built for one thing: getting you safely back to Earth, even when the ground is nowhere in sight. Thanks for flying with us today. If you love learning the hidden secrets behind blind landings, make sure you hit subscribe and join the crew for more aviation breakdowns like this. Until next time.